Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be here with our outstanding PC team to celebrate this very special day. And 1 year after the election, I am so proud to stand here with an all-star team. This is the team that is turning Ontario around. 1 year, we have accomplished more than any government in Ontario's history. We have passed 20 major pieces of legislation, which is a record. We have over 255 accomplishments. We sat for 117 days. That's more than any government in recent memory. We have accomplished more in 1 year than most governments achieve in their whole mandate. Today, Ontario is back on the right track. Our policies are paying off. Confidence in our province is growing. For the first time in 8 years, our province's credit rating outlook was just upgraded, and our economy is absolutely booming right now. In fact, hours ago, we received the latest job numbers from Stats Canada. My friends, the news is incredible. Over 20,000 new jobs were created in Ontario last month alone. The month before that, that was 47,000 jobs. Over 190,000 jobs have been created since we took office. These incredible numbers are proof that our plan for the people of Ontario is working. That's 190,000 new opportunities, 190,000 new paychecks, 190,000 families that will find it easier to make ends meet. In Kingston, Pembroke, employment growth is up 9% over last year. In Kitchener, Waterloo, and Barrie, employment growth is up over 6%. I recently met Mike in Huntsville when I went up to pay the folks up there a visit. He's owned and operated a small business for a number of years up in Huntsville. His story broke my heart, but it also gave me hope. Thanks to the crippling policies of the last government, he was barely making ends meet in the winter season. And he was on the verge of shutting down his shop and declaring bankruptcy. Mike told me that now, thanks to the changes in our small business policies, not only is business better than ever, but he's hiring new employees and his business is thriving. I hear stories like this every single day. It's remarkable, the change I personally see out there. And it's happening all across our great province. The economy is absolutely thriving right now. In fact, we have so many new jobs in Ontario that businesses are having a hard time filling them. My friends, a year ago today, Ontario voted for a government that would work for the people, not for the Liberal insiders, not for the NDP radical special interests, but for the people. We promised to clean up the mess of the Liberal government and restore respect for the taxpayers. On June the 7th of 2018, the people of Ontario voted for change. You elected a government that works for you and not the other way around. A new day dawned in Ontario, a day of prosperity and opportunity for everyone. My friends, during the election, we made 5 core commitments to you. We promised to restore trust, accountability, and transparency in government. And we kept that promise. We delivered an independent inquiry and a line-by-line review of government spending, ending the culture of waste and mismanagement in government and restoring respect for the taxpayers. We laid out reasonable and responsible path to a balanced budget in 5 years, all while increasing spending in healthcare by $1.3 billion and education by $700 million. Today, we can say promises made, promises kept. We promised to put more money in people's pockets, and we delivered by scrapping the Liberals' awful cap-and-trade carbon tax, saving families $260 million a year, and cutting gas prices by 4.3 cents a litre at the pump. We brought immediate and real relief for families across this province by scrapping this terrible, terrible tax. We made sure that minimum wage workers will pay no tax. That's zero provincial taxes, leaving up to $850 a year in the pockets of 1.1 million hardworking people. We gave parents a break by introducing one of the most flexible child care credits in Ontario's history, the Care Credit. This puts money right back into the pockets of families, up to $6,000 a year per child under the age of 7, up to $3,750 a year for each child age 7 all the way up to the age of 16, and up to $8,250 for children with a disability. For the first time in Ontario's history, we cut tuition by 10% for students in colleges and universities. That's thousands of dollars in savings over the course of your education, making it more affordable to get a degree. And one of my favorites, and I'll tell you this is one of my favorites, we put an end to Drive Clean. No more wasting your time and money on this ineffective program. Today, we can say promises made, promises kept. We promised to clean up the hydro mess. The $6 million man, the CEO of Hydro One, and the board that hired him, they're gone, they're done. More than 750 renewable energy contracts, sweetheart deals, they're gone, they're done. The Green Energy Act, it's done. In total, these changes will save hydro ratepayers over $790 million. We promised to cut hospital wait times and end hallway health care. This year, we delivered 7,000 new long-term care beds, with 8,000 more coming online in the next 5 years. We're getting patients off wait lists and putting them at the heart of our healthcare system, where they belong. We're driving savings in the bloated healthcare bureaucracy. We're getting more of your tax dollars to the front lines. This year, health spending has gone up by $1.3 billion. That means more beds and more frontline health care. We're investing $3.8 billion to fix our broken mental health care system. And we are supporting our seniors to make sure that they have the dignity they deserve. We introduced free dental care for over 100,000 long-term, low-income seniors. Promises made, promises kept. And finally, we promise to help create jobs by making Ontario open for business and open for jobs. We've proved and provided $5 billion in relief to businesses in this year alone. We've cut reams and reams of job-killing red tape, saving businesses $400 million in compliance costs. Since taking office, we've created over 190,000 new jobs. And I love that. When I hear that, that's amazing. My friends, promises made, promises kept. I want to thank our all-star PC team. This is the team that is doing the heavy lifting, the team that is delivering for the people of Ontario. This is a team with decades and decades of experience. Small business owners, teachers, doctors, nurses, lawyers, even journalists, police officers, veterans, and reservists. We have the best team ever, qualified, credible, and experienced. They are the MVPs of this government, every one of them. And our team has never been stronger or more united. We have a clear plan to put our province back on track. My friends, we are listening to you. I've crisscrossed every corner of this great province since I was elected Premier, north, south, east, and west. And I listened to what you had to say. And as we look ahead, our government will continue to put you first. We are building a government that works for you, for parents, for students, for seniors, for families, for caregivers, for veterans, and for patients. We're putting our fiscal house in order so we can deliver more relief and help put more money in people's pockets. Ending hallway health care will remain a top priority for our government. We will build a health care system that puts patients first, with new technologies, new ways of providing care, and the right mix of healthcare professionals. When we plan for the future, we also need to make sure our students are set up for success. We need to make sure our classrooms give students the tools to succeed in the modern economy. And we need to make sure Ontario has the best environment for businesses to grow, create jobs, and hire people. We're going to build transit better, faster, and cheaper to get people moving. We're going to build more homes so more people can afford a nice place to live. That's the Ontario we want to build, and we can build it together. So young people can buy a home, so you can find a good job, buy a new car, and take a nice vacation once in a while. It's not too much to ask. It's the Canadian dream. And it shouldn't be out of reach for so many people. My friends, I got into politics to help people and families, help them get ahead and prosper. And that's why you can count on me and our team to always, always work for you. Because that's what our government was elected to do. That's what a government for the people is all about. Thank you.
It's Hai-Ying from Epoch Times and NTD TV. During your campaign, to be exact, February 18, 2018, you called gender identity a liberal ideology. Shouldn't be forced on children and parents in Ontario. But the new Sex Act, the gender identity still will be taught at grade 8. do you have any plan in the future to revise this part of the curriculum? So the parents groups and the immigration community, they are quite concerned about this part. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for the question. And when we sat down, the Minister of Education with our cabinet, we felt that grade 8 was an appropriate time to talk about that. And for now, I think we're going to leave that alone as we move forward. And that's what we felt was pretty reasonable. Grade 8 is a reasonable time to learn about that.
Premier, when are you going to shuffle your cabinet for a reset?
Boy, you guys, I'll tell you, I have to, no, but I have to laugh because you guys make a sport out of this. I heard this back at Christmas, and I'll tell you, you guys are probably laying bets, but I can tell you this. I can tell you I have the best cabinet this province has ever seen, and I'll put it up against any government in Ontario. We have a lot of things we still have to accomplish, and I'm not going to speculate on that whatsoever. But I have the most, yeah. But I'm just the men and women standing behind me. Each and every one of them are more than capable of hopping into any portfolio and getting a job done. But again, I'm not going to speculate on that, and you folks can lay bets. I remember hearing this rumor back at Christmas as well, but I appreciate the question.
Okay. So does that mean no cabinet shuffle in the immediate future?
What it means is I'm not going to speculate on that, and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the talented cabinet and caucus, and we're a united team, and just you can't ask for a better talented team than what we have here. Hey, Cynthia. What happened to your leg?
Well, you know what
Chasing me around, you probably tripped.
That's exactly what I tell everybody, and then I say Dean French tripped me as I was
Oh,
chasing you down the hallway. And most people believe me.
Oh, that's good.
So 1 year. Congratulations
Thank you.
on 1 year.
Yeah.
Todd Smith, your minister standing behind you, did say yesterday that you're going to spend the next 5 months resetting the government. So what are you going to do over the next 5 months while you're not sitting in the legislature to reset the government?
Well, there's a little misnomer, and I remember, I'd be sitting at home listening. Parliament's not sitting for 3 months. Again, I want to remind everyone that we've sat for a whole year, all through last summer, and I've checked the numbers. We've sat 117 days. That's more than any government in recent memory, at least, that we went all the way back to Bob Rae days. But in saying that, I just want to remind everyone that committees continue working. Our cabinet meets every 2 weeks. We'll have numerous committees working. But we need to let the MPPs get back into the ridings. There's no government, again, in recent memory that has worked as many hours and as many days as we have, and they need to go back into the ridings and talk to the people that elected them. But no means are we not going to be working. We're going to be working full steam. Matter of fact, I was asking our team, am I allowed to take one Sunday off? And that's all I'm asking for is 1 day on a Sunday, but I know we're going to continue working hard. We still have a lot of work to do, and we're going to continue working hard for the people of Ontario.
Well, when your government sits again in the legislature on October 28th, are we going to see a different tone? Are we going to see a different style?
Well, I don't know, a different tone, different style. We always learn day by day how we can always improve, and I always believe in continuous improvement, and it doesn't matter if you're in the private sector or public sector. We can always look at the last year, and we've done an incredible job for the people of Ontario, no matter if it's lowering taxes or creating the environment for 190,000 new jobs, increasing health care by $1.3 billion. That's our goal. We're going to continue making sure that this province prospers and grows and thrives the way it has been over the last year.
Hi, Premier.
Hi.
This break that you're taking, coming back after the federal election, are you doing that in part at all to go out and campaign and help Andrew Scheer, or are you doing that in part to lay low and help Andrew Scheer?
No, actually, neither, actually. Right from the get-go, I said I'm not going to get involved in the federal election, and we're going to continue working hard for the people of Ontario. We have our plates full, each and every one of us. We still have a few items that we have to get through, so the answer is no.
But aren't the ads targeting the carbon tax, the stickers on the gas pumps? You're involved in the federal election, aren't you?
No, I would say we would do that no matter if there was a federal election or not. We're informing the public what a terrible tax this is. It puts a burden on the backs of every business and every person in Ontario, and we just want to make sure that we inform them. Thank you.
Hi, Premier.
Hey, Michael.
I'm curious about the tone you guys are setting today. It's a pretty subdued one-year anniversary celebration. Can you speak to that at all?
Well, I don't know if it's a different tone. I just, we're busy. We have work to do. We aren't out there celebrating because we have a tremendous amount of work to do, and we're going to continue every single day throughout the summer, working hard so the people listening out there, you'll have an opportunity to sit down with your local MPPs and discuss any local issues that they might have. And I think it's going to be a very busy summer.
And you say you don't plan to get involved in the federal election.
No.
So how are you going to respond when Justin Trudeau drags you in every day?
Well, that's part of his tactics. We're working hand in hand with all levels of government, no matter if it's a municipal or federal government. And I've always said I'll work with any government that wants to create jobs, lower taxes, work for the people. So I look forward to working with any government.
Hi, Premier.
Hi.
I was just wondering which specific calls to justice in the MMIWG report that you support, if any, and how you plan to implement them.
Well, I'm going to have to pass that one to my minister. And I've always said when I have press conferences, I don't have the question the answer off the top of my head. I'll pass that over to one of my ministers here.
But
for
just
a minute.
could you name any of the calls to
I'll
justice?
pass it over to one of my ministers. Sorry.
Thanks very much. We were pleased on Monday to be present at the findings, and I was pleased that I was able to walk with Ontario's Regional Chief, Roseanne Archibald. Specifically, what we're working on right now is Indigenous child welfare reforms alongside the federal government with Bill C-92. Our concern with the federal legislation is it may weaken some of the elements that we have in the Child and Youth Family Services Act in the province of Ontario. We do have Indigenous-led child welfare agencies. We are going to continue to grow those, and we are going to continue to have further announcements on those in the weeks and months ahead. In addition to that, we are working specifically on violence against women and sex trafficking initiatives. The day after receiving the report with the regional chief, I met with a number of sex trafficking survivors, many of whom were Indigenous from our Indigenous communities, particularly in Northern Ontario. We're going to start consultations rolling out next week across Ontario with Natalia Kuznadova, who's the MPP for Mississauga Centre, as well as Belinda Cariolios, who is my parliamentary assistant, and the MPP for Cambridge. So we are working specifically, and we have made a commitment to our Indigenous partners as well as to our Indigenous sisters that we will not take that lightly.
Thanks, Minister. Just for the Premier, have you read the report?
I haven't read the whole report, but I did have an opportunity to sit down with Roseanne Archibald, and what a wonderful person. We discussed a lot of issues along with the Grand Chief, Perry Bellegarde. They're both wonderful people, and our goal and their goal is to make sure the First Nations people are prosperous and they grow. And as he told me, First Nations is open for business, and we look forward to helping them any way we can. I'll tell you, on a personal note, we hit it off, the three of us. We've been texting back and forth since our meeting, but I can't wait to be there and visit First Nations community and work with them. I'm really excited about it. It was great. It was really, really good.
Hi, Premier. Question for you about Pride. How you doing?
Yeah,
We know that you said that you're not going to march in the Pride Parade in Toronto, and that has to do with the fact that Toronto Police uniformed officers aren't included, that decision. I'm wondering if you're going to take part in any Pride Month events.
Sure. Yeah, I have no problem going to Pride events at all. Matter of fact, I look forward to it. We approve funding through two different funds, one for $250,000, one for $125,000. So the province is contributing $375,000 to Pride. In the past, I have personally, I can't do it now because I'm not involved in our business, I've personally donated printing to Pride, and I think it's a real boost to the economy. I think it's great for people to gather, and I wish everyone all the best on Pride, and I look forward to going to some events.
I'm wondering if you can tell us specifically which Pride events you'll be taking part in, and also if that's the case, if you know the province does support Pride, you support Pride, why not march in the parade then?
Well, again, I've always said when they open it up to everyone, and that means police as well, I can't figure out why they wouldn't want the police there. I look forward to marching in Pride once the police are there, but we're going to decide what events based on the schedule and the event, but I look forward to going to some events.
Hi, Mr. Premier. We've heard a lot about what you and your government have to say about the dissolving of the beer store deal, that it's, a sweetheart deal and so forth. While you've been saying that, though, some very important and in some cases independent groups have spoken out against it. The Canada-U.S. Bar Association says it undermines a number of laws. Another U.S. group says it risks undermining investment in Ontario. What's your direct response to these groups, sir?
Well, the Retail Association of Canada, they're really excited. The Canadian Federation of Business has endorsed it. So there's a lot of people that have endorsed it as well. We're moving forward, making sure that people have the convenience to go into a local retail store or convenience store. As I've always said, summer times here, they're going to be grilling outside. They're going to pick up a few steaks, and there's nothing wrong with buying a bottle of wine or a case of beer, and treat adults like adults. We're the only region in the world that has this monopoly controlled by three global giants. One from Belgium, another from Japan, and another from the U.S. So I could never figure out, being a businessman, that we have over 12,000 people wanting to distribute their products, and they're declining that. Talk to any business person around. I'd love to have 12,000 people pushing my products out across the province. Why don't the beer stores want it? Because they have a monopoly. And they won't have a monopoly once it goes into retail stores across this province, and give the people of Ontario the opportunity to have the convenience to go in and buy beer. They also, in the beer store, they have a monopoly, and they've inflated the cost of beer by probably over 10%. So we want to work with the beer store to make sure that we have a mutually rewarding business relationship moving forward.
But is it not the goal of a business owner to sign a good deal, a sweetheart deal? I'm wondering, Mr. Premier, how you would feel as the CEO of Deco Labels and Tags, how you would feel if the government ripped up a legal document that you signed with someone?
Well, let me be very clear. No matter if it's Deco or any other company, we don't have a monopoly. Matter of fact, I'd love to have a monopoly in the label business, but we don't have a monopoly, and neither do 99% of companies out there. And when you're dealing with three global giants worth hundreds of billions of dollars, they shouldn't have a monopoly on any jurisdiction in Canada, in my opinion. They don't have it down in the U.S., and they shouldn't have it here in Ontario. They've had this monopoly going on since 1926, and this is a winning issue for our government. Make no mistake about it. People want convenience, and that's what it comes down to. Going into a store, picking up a bottle of wine or a case of beer, in my opinion, the big beer companies, they're going to win. They're going to sell more beer at the end of the day. There's no doubt in my mind they're going to sell more beer, so they should be happy about it. But thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, Premier. I know you're on teachers' contracts. The government is looking to negotiate contracts with the teachers' unions before the school year. I'm just wondering if that happens to drag on into September, though, is a strike or work to rule or any kind of action acceptable?
Well, we really, really want to strike a deal with the teachers. We don't want to strike, and I know, I think it was 8 days after we got elected, a pal of mine that's a teacher said, Doug, I just got contacted to say save 3 months of pay because we're going on strike. And I sat back and I thought, how can you declare a strike 10 days after, 8 days, whatever it was, after a government gets elected? We have some of the greatest teachers in the world right here in Ontario, and we look forward to working with the teachers to improve our students' math scores, for instance. We want to focus on the students and make sure that we have a good deal, not only for students but for teachers as well. But most importantly, we want a good deal for the taxpayers of Ontario.
If teachers have already, set out that they are going to strike in September, what is your government prepared to do to prevent that? Would you legislate a contract upon them, recall the House earlier in the summer to legislate a contract? Would that be something?
Just a message to the teachers. We'd be so disappointed. We're doing everything we can to support the teachers and protect their jobs. No teacher is going to lose their jobs. And we're putting $1.6 billion on top of the $700 million we're putting into education to protect teachers. So I'd be really, really disappointed if they went on strike, especially when we're working so hard to protect their jobs. Colin, the easy thing to do is when you go into office is to say, okay, we don't need any more teachers because enrollment went down 106,000 and the previous government hired 11,000 new teachers. We're protecting the teachers. So hopefully they'll think this out before they react.
Would you legislate a contract?
Again, I don't want to speculate. I want to make sure that we work hard and come up with a great deal for the taxpayers, teachers, and students. We want to make sure we focus the money on students.
Premier, your staff handed out a very long, extensive list of accomplishments. Some of them are legislation, some of them are just announcements, some of them are changes. Long list here. Is there one thing at this 1 year mark that you say, that's it? That's what I'm most proud of?
Boy, there's just so many of them. There really is. Over 20 pieces of legislation, 255 items. I really think is the best is has to be our budget, making sure that we balance in a responsible, reasonable, but thoughtful manner over the next 5 years. And I think everything revolves around money. So I think we've put out a great budget, and we're going to continue looking at efficiencies across the board. We were able to reduce our $15 billion deficit down to $11.7 billion, finding $3.3 billion of savings for the taxpayers. We have debt of $347 billion. We were able to bring that down to $344 billion. So everything revolves around money. We're on the right track, and we're going to continue focusing on finding efficiencies for the taxpayers of this province.
One thing that surprises me that's both in this document that your government's continued, though, is corporate welfare, be it $5 million for the Killaloe sawmill, announcement out at Maple Leaf Foods. I'm a little bit surprised that you're someone that would keep that going. Do you have any thoughts on corporate welfare going forward, taxpayers' money going directly to businesses, small, medium, or large?
Well, we always look at the ROI, return on investment. That's the first question our cabinet, our caucus asks ourselves. What's the return on investment? How many jobs are they going to create? And I think we've thought long and hard before we make any decision like that. But right now, a lot of companies, they're just absolutely booming. We want to make sure we keep them here in Ontario. When we're competing against, a vast majority of the areas are down in the U.S., and we're competing against states like Michigan, Ohio, and New York State, and they're offering them the world. We just want to be competitive, continue making sure that they're hiring people, and therefore when they hire people, more revenues up to the provincial coffers. That's the way we look at things. So thank you.
Hi, Premier.
Hi.
I'm just wondering, considering the fact that 100% of millennial voters are eligible to vote in the next federal and then provincial election, do you regret any of the cuts that you made towards this generation?
I don't remember making any cuts. I remember driving efficiencies and making
300
sure.
million towards financial assistance for post-secondary students, 50 million off of at-risk youth programs.
Let's talk about this for a minute. So millennials, they're going to be out there. They're going to be looking for a job. There's more jobs. Anyone that is physically capable of working can go out there and get a great paying jobs. We're out there building or supporting getting lower cost homes, making it more affordable. And when they have children, they're going to be able to have the care tax credits, which is absolutely phenomenal. Wouldn't it be terrible if, roll back the date, 2-3 years ago when 300,000 jobs left the province under the Liberals. We're reducing the debt and the burden on the backs of on the people, these new millennials that are going to be the future entrepreneurs and business owners. That's the way I look at it. I always look at the glasses half full. And to answer your question very bluntly, is the province better off now than it was a year ago? And the simple answer is it's not a little better off, it's 10 times better off. It's 10 times better off financially, it's 10 times better off on jobs. We're putting more money into people's pockets, more money into families. That's what it's all about, and that's what we focus on. Are we creating jobs? Are we lowering taxes? Are we delivering a better healthcare system? And are we delivering a better education system? And on all those fronts, the answer is yes, 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 yes. But thank you for your question.
So critics are suggesting that you're balancing your budget on the backs of young people. What's your response to that?
Well, they're critics. We're actually blazing a new trail for young people, making sure that they don't have the burden of debt and the deficit that we've seen over the years. I just want to remind everyone, every hour that goes by, we're spending $1.5 million on interest alone. That's $36 million a day. That's $13.3 billion a week. That's what puts a burden on the backs of young people. Young people don't want to be carrying that debt. The fourth largest ministry, it's called the Minister of Debt. I don't have a minister under that portfolio, but the Minister of Finance is keeping an eye on it with the President of the Treasury along with the Cabinet. So you can't spend more than what you take in. Each and every one of you. I'm sure your families aren't spending more than what you take in, and that's something that the young people coming into the working world, they're going to find out real quick. That's how the world works now, making sure you're fiscally responsible. And that's what our government's done.
Next question. We're seeing this long list of what's happened over the first year. What do you see as up first for the second year, or most important for the second year?
Well, we still have a few more promises to keep. We've almost kept all our promises, but we still have a lot of work to do, making sure we reduce taxes a lot more than we already have, making sure that we continue with an environment that companies can thrive and prosper. We still have to get rid of 25% of the red tape and regulations, which Minister Smith has been doing a great job. We're targeting 2020 for that. So we still have a lot of work to do moving forward, and we can't wait. But we're never going to sit back on our laurels. We're going to continue working hard for the people of Ontario.
And this list includes a whole lot of things.
Pretty amazing, isn't it?
But some are
really
a bit
is.
unusual. I don't know if you can actually see them as, are they accomplishments? What are they? Like recognized Bell Let's Talk Day. What do you say about this really long list, many pages?
I think no other government in the history of Ontario has ever accomplished so much in such a short period of time. 255 items, 20 pieces of legislation. Those are staggering figures. What impresses me when I have that list, I sit back and I look at it and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, and it brings back all the memories over the last year. We've sat in the legislature for 117 days. It's pretty amazing.
Hi, Premier.
Hi.
At a time when you're trying to reduce the deficit, trying to cut down on health and education funding, why are you willing to cut down or to pay $1 billion to scrap the beer store contract?
Well, sir, I have to apologize. We're increasing healthcare by $1.3 billion, and we're increasing education by $700 million. And this fictitious number of $1 billion, I'm not too sure where you're getting that from. Maybe it's talking points from the three big global giants. It almost reminds me of when we were getting rid of the CEO of Hydro One. Everyone was saying you got to pay him out $10 million. It wasn't the case. Didn't pay him anything. So the scare tactics aren't going to work with our government. We're going to move forward with this, and we're going to make sure we deliver convenience to the people of Ontario. But thank you.
Last question from Randy.
I was wondering, Premier, if the beer store decides to play hardball with you, if they say that they're not going to deliver beer to the variety corner stores, well, what do you do?
We have a contingency plan. I know you probably lose sleep on that, Randy, not being able to get your beer. But don't you worry. Randy, if I have to deliver beer to you personally, I will. I promise. But we're actually working hard on a contingency plan. But that just wouldn't be a smart move on a business side of things for big beer companies to not want to sell their products. We're going to sell more of their products, but we have a really good plan, and I can promise you there'll be beer in the stores across this province in the summer. But we have a pretty good plan. We're going to work with a lot of the microbreweries. Nothing better than the microbreweries and the smaller beer companies would love than that to happen. I wouldn't want it to happen, but we're going to work hard with them. But I don't think it'd be a smart choice on their behalf.
So we will have beer in the corner stores before the end of the summer?
I'm not saying in the corner stores, but we are increasing that by, I think it's over 200 retail stores. Correct me if I'm wrong, Finance Minister? Yes, sir. Is it over 200 stores we're putting it in? So over 200 stores, they'll be in the retail stores.
Okay. Thanks.
But I just want to thank each and every one of you. I want to thank my team once again, the best team that's ever been put together in politics. And I am so grateful and so blessed for their support. But thank you. Thank you so much.